Mark Heinzman, and welcome to my channel. Batman Forever is a fun pulp superhero blockbuster that is also a great existential drama. I think it's a legitimate film, and the Schumacher cut, which does in fact exist, please release it, Warner Brothers, and I guess by that extension DC Studios, would legitimize the film even further. It's pretty remarkable how a film that may have been the norm for its time, that may have been perceived by some as, and I hate to use these terms, quote unquote, safe, generic, and corporate, is remarkably refreshing today. Granted, not everyone in 1995 perceived Batman Forever that way. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. But there was, and still is to a degree, a perception of it that frustrates me, even if I can respect that the mileage may vary. I just wish people, especially film critics, would respectfully analyze something fairly and objectively before they voice their opinion. Or frankly, and I apologize in advance for this, they can just shut the hell up. I'm inclined to think with this video, I will respectfully dismantle whatever perception or consensus has been constructed around this film. Anyway, Chase Meridian has a very profound line that I think encapsulates the theme of the film when she says, quote, "Why does a man do this? It's as if he's cursed to pay some great penance. Now, what crime could he have committed to deserve a life of nightly torture?" Batman is having an existential crisis over witnessing, as Bruce Wayne, the death of the Grayson family, who were unfortunately casualties of a raid by Two-Face and his gang, where they threatened to bomb the circus unless Batman revealed his identity, and Bruce Wayne feels responsible for their deaths. After Dick Grayson, the surviving member of the Grayson family, who Bruce adopts as his foster son, arrives at Wayne Manor, there's a scene where Bruce stares at framed pictures of his family and starts having flashbacks of the night his parents were tragically murdered. He can't help but draw parallels between the death of his parents and that of Dick Grayson's family by remarking, quote, "Just like my parents, it's happening again. A monster comes out of the night, a scream, 2 shots. I killed them." Then Alfred Pennyworth chimes in and says, quote, "What did you say?" Bruce tries to walk back on his words by saying, quote, "He killed them, Two-Face. He slaughtered that boy's parents." Alfred responds by insisting, quote, "No, you said I killed them." Bruce starts to wonder, what good is his vow to, quote, "strike terror into the hearts of those who did evil," when he couldn't save Dick's family and, quote, "ensure that what happened to me would never happen to anyone else again." It's a great existential dilemma. And then after Dick accidentally stumbles into the Batcave, discovers that Bruce is Batman, and takes the Batmobile out for a ride, there's a profound dialogue exchange between him and Batman when Dick confronts him by saying, quote, "Bastard, it should have been you. If you told Two-Face who you were at the circus, they'd still be alive." To which Batman replies, quote, "If Bruce Wayne could have given his life for your family, he would have." Then later on, Bruce says to Dick, as he's on the verge of retiring his Batman identity, quote, "I've dedicated my life to helping strangers I've never met, faces I've never seen." He then alludes to Dick by saying, quote, "Well, the innocent aren't faceless anymore." Bruce is retiring Batman not just to get closer to Chase Meridian, but also because he realizes how being Batman makes his life a very lonely and unhealthy existence. And again, he couldn't save Dick's family as Bruce Wayne, so he's going to atone for it by putting Batman to rest. And maybe try to be a good adoptive father to Dick. And by that same token, be closer to Alfred, his surrogate father figure. There's a scene where Bruce talks to Chase at Wayne Manor, before the Riddler and Two-Face raid it, about the death of his parents. And how on the day of their funeral, and this is another flashback sequence, he saw a red leather book that was his father's journal. He says, quote, "He'd written in it every day of my life, but now he'd never write in it again. And at that moment, I knew my life would never be the same." I really like how Batman Forever emphasizes the influence that Bruce's parents, and their deaths, have on him. It makes him relatable in a tangible and sophisticated way. Batman in this film is admirable and human. There's another moment in that same flashback sequence where a young Bruce is running outside in the dark while it's raining and storming, with his father's journal wrapped around his arms, then falls into a cave and sees a bat flying towards him. He remembers, quote, "The figure in the dark was my destiny. It would change my life forever. I would use its image to strike terror into the hearts of those who did evil. I would ensure what happened to me would never happen to anyone else again." It's a very powerful moment, and it's all the more satisfying that Batman overcomes his existential crisis by affirming to the Riddler, after he foiled his plan to expose his secret identity, saved Chase and Robin, and defeated Two-Face, quote, "You see, I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Not because I have to be. Now, because I choose to be." Hence the title Batman Forever. I like Alfred Pennyworth as the gentleman butler, who's also an encouraging and compassionate father figure to Bruce and subsequently Dick. Michael Gough does a great job portraying him. I especially like the scene where Alfred notices a robin bird on Dick's motorcycle helmet, and Dick explains that one time his brother's wire broke, and he swung out and saved him. He says, quote, "My father says I was his hero. I flew in like a robin. Some hero I turned out to be." Then Alfred tries to comfort him by saying, quote, "But your father was right. You are a hero. I can tell." Dick then asks Alfred to throw away his circus outfit, but Alfred instead puts it in a drawer, arguing it's still valuable. Not that he was cryptically encouraging Dick to become a costumed vigilante, but he probably wanted him to keep it as a way to remember and honor his family. I really like what Alfred says next to Dick when he says, quote, "Broken wings mend in time. One day Robin will fly again. I promise." He's a great father figure. And when Bruce accuses Alfred of encouraging Dick to be a costumed vigilante after Dick as Robin saved Bruce as Batman from one of Two-Face's traps, Alfred says, quote, "Young men with a mind for revenge need little encouragement. They need guidance." And then directly to Bruce, quote, "You above all should know the consequences of the life you chose." Very wise and profound words. Alright, now I'm going to break down what I specifically like about Batman Forever. Val Kilmer is a great Batman. I especially like how his Batman speaks with a soft-spoken but authoritative voice, which is what I would imagine the character would realistically sound like in a cinematic context. I especially like the way he describes what Chase specializes in when he says, quote, "Abnormal psychology, multiple personalities, I read your work, insightful, naive but insightful." I really like the Batsuit, along with the sonar suit that Batman wears later on. I don't, in this case, mind the nipples. I really like how classically stylistic and exaggerated Gotham City is. I'm always a sucker for that, especially in live action. I really like how elaborate, atmospheric, and stylistic the Batcave is. Visually, I like how neon and atmospheric the film's aesthetic is. I'm inclined to think that Batman Forever is what a Batman comic book or storyboard would realistically look like on film. I like the soundtrack, especially the Bat theme. It's very operatic and determined. I like the opening scene where the Warner Brothers logo morphs into a bat, Batman gets suited up, and walks towards the Batmobile. I especially like the way the camera zooms in on Batman. It's very powerful and operatic, and the soundtrack makes it all the more effective. And by the way Batman delivers the "I'll get drive-through" line is done very effectively, because he says it in a very stoic and crisp fashion. It's just naturally charming, without contradicting the tone or ambiance of the moment. I really like the scene where Batman confronts the Riddler and Two-Face at the Farmer's Island Fortress, that also happens to be the headquarters for Enigma Tech. I particularly like the high-angle shots of Batman, standing still surrounded by neon green question marks. It visually complements the sonar suit quite well. I really like the rooftop scene where Chase lights up the bat signal to attract the attention of Batman. I particularly like the medium close-up shots of him with the Gotham skyline in the background. I like the dark blue and purple color palette, as well as how atmospheric the scene is in general. The soundtrack makes the scene more alluring. I like the way Batman arrives at the Bank of Gotham where Two-Face is carrying out a bank heist in the beginning. Very dramatic entrance. I also like when Batman fights Two-Face's henchmen inside the bank. I think overall the action in this film is well choreographed. I like Edward Nygma's gala party at the Ritz Gotham because of how classically glamorous it is along with the jazz music. And Jim Carrey looks sharp in a tuxedo. I can't help but project or imagine an alternate reality where he actually played Batman Bruce Wayne. There's even a moment where both Edward and Bruce have glasses on. It's meant to portray them as mirror reflections of one another. But I can't help, as I said, think of an alternate reality. I like how Batman enters the party by crashing through the glass ceiling as Two-Face and his gang have come and raided the party. Ditto how he fights Two-Face's henchmen. I like when Batman saves Chase from being attacked by one of the henchmen and then gets a kiss from her along with an invitation to her place. Nice lady. Then the shot of Batman jumping off the roof of the Ritz Gotham with his cape fluttering is amazing to look at. Very scenic. But what I really like is when Batman lands in what appears to be an abandoned Gotham subway tunnel where Two-Face has him cornered somewhere. Then he tries to burn Batman alive. Batman then uses a device that makes him immune to the fire, and what follows is an amazing shot of Batman emerging from the fire along with a close-up shot of him with a sweaty but determined expression on his face. It's just a very powerful and operatic moment overall. Iconic, if you will. I like when the Riddler first encounters Two-Face at his hideout. He uses his brainwave device on him, and we see dual screen projections that have classic Looney Tunes cartoons on display. It's just a treat to see a Batman movie featuring classic Looney Tunes cartoons in some way. I like the stern expression Alfred gives to Dick after he has accidentally stumbled into the Batcave, basically telling him, "We are in big trouble here." I like the shot of Alfred giving out candy to children trick-or-treating on Halloween night that just happened to be nearby Wayne Manor. I just like seeing children trick-or-treating. I like this quote from Alfred after Bruce says that Chase considers being Batman a curse. Quote, "Perhaps the lady is just what the doctor ordered. She seems lovely and wise." I also like how near the climax, Alfred helps Bruce solve all the riddles that the Riddler has given him throughout the movie. I like the thumbs up Batman gives to Commissioner Gordon as he's flying the Batwing past the Bat Signal. It's just classic Batman. I like the riddle Batman has for the Riddler when he tells him, quote, "I see without seeing. To me, darkness is as clear as daylight. What am I?" Then the Riddler replies, quote, "Please, you're as blind as a bat." And Batman just says exactly, and throws a sonar battering at the main antenna of the brainwave device that helps destroy the Riddler's island fortress. I really like the dialogue exchange between Batman and Robin after Dick introduces himself as a costumed vigilante for the first time. Dick starts off by saying, quote, "I can't promise I won't kill Harvey." Then Batman remarks, quote, "A man's gotta go his own way. A friend taught me that." Then Robin says, quote, "Not just a friend." And Batman concludes, quote, "A partner." Then comes a shot where they shake hands, which I really like. I also like the smile Alfred gives after Dick explains what the R on his suit stands for. I can also feel for Robin when he finally confronts Two-Face and starts pounding him. After all, it was Two-Face that killed his family. I would be just as vengeful. I also want to talk about the surprisingly pragmatic scenario in which Batman indirectly kills Two-Face by throwing up coins in the air and causing him to lose balance and fall to his death. Firstly, Batman has just rescued Chase and Robin by pulling them up onto a girder, then suddenly Two-Face confronts them and is about to decide their fate, at the flip of a coin, of course. They are in a physically volatile situation, and most importantly, Two-Face knew that Batman was Bruce Wayne, so even if he was instead admitted to Arkham Asylum along with the Riddler, his claims about Batman's secret identity would likely have a greater effect, whether it's taken into consideration by the authorities, or it starts a chain reaction, whereas the Riddler, whose brain has been impaired by brainwave overload and of course has been admitted to Arkham Asylum, not only can't be taken seriously, but can't think clearly either. So it's only logical that Batman, by chance, gets rid of Two-Face in order for his personal life, along with those he cares for, to be safe and not put in harm's way. He also doesn't want Dick to be compromised by vengeance. It alludes to something Bruce said to Dick earlier about vengeance when he told him, quote, "You make the kill, but your pain doesn't die with Harvey. It grows. So you run out into the night to find another face, and another, until one terrible morning, you wake up and realize that revenge has become your whole life, and you won't know why." He wants him to maintain his innocence, something Bruce tragically lost when he was a child. Also, and not that I think it matters in the grand scheme of things, but the Joel Schumacher version of Batman exists in his own universe called Earth 97, which retroactively makes Batman Forever a soft reboot of the character on film. Granted, it has the same actors who played Alfred and Commissioner Gordon in the Tim Burton Batman movies, but they are playing a variation of these characters. And the events of the '89 Batman film, along with Batman Returns, still likely happened in this universe, albeit in a varied form. Now, I want to end this video by once again making a plea to Warner Brothers, and yes, DC Studios, to please release the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever. It would be a great way to honor the passing of Joel Schumacher and Val Kilmer, God rest their souls, and simultaneously promote the democratization of Hollywood blockbuster filmmaking, which is upon us, so you might as well serve justice by simply releasing it. But as it stands, Batman Forever is a classic. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.